Hello. I'm your host, the Evil Tyrone, aka Tyrone Williams, and welcome to another episode of Evol Live. I got some very special guests in the building tonight to talk about, a movie that, it came out, what was announced, and there was a lot of different opinions in the universe, especially a lot of hype, when it came to trailers and things like that. Personally, I ain't even gonna front with you. I thought the trailer was trash when I saw it off the bat. So I was like, what is we doing? But we're gonna give it a fair shot tonight. We're gonna chop it up with some of my favorite folks in the horror community, and it's gonna get live. It's gonna get live tonight on Evol Live. Only how we can do it on Evol Live, So I'm gonna introduce first, one of my buddies from People Under the Scares, aka the Scream King himself, Mr. Michael Anthony. How you feeling tonight, Michael?
What's up? I'm good, Tyrone, and the people in the comments. I'm great. Drinking. Yes. Friday night, ready to talk about this movie with y'all.
Yes. Let's go, man. Let's go. And I wanted to get you on here because I know you're going to give your honest opinion. I know it's not going to be filtered. I know it's going to be honest, whether good or bad, I know it's going to be honest, so that's what you
get. Are you saying I'm unfiltered? What is going on?
No, you're not. You're unfiltered, but you're not, you've never said anything to get me canceled, or, that anything that I've got to bleep out.
But there's still time.
But thank you again for joining, Michael, and stopping by, for the fun, and of course we got my man Tommie in the building, aka Black Horror Survivor in the building, the writer, director himself, in the building. How you feeling tonight, Tommie?
Man, I feel great, man. Thank you so much for having me on tonight. I almost get emotional every time I hear horror community. I mean, that's just means so much to me. And to talk about this movie in particular, I'm just happy to be here. And hello, everybody in the comments.
Yes. Thank you for stopping by again, Tommie. One of the energy bringers, I feel like, in the community. Like, no matter what we talking about, even when you drop a video, it's a must. It's a must watch because I know I'm going to get that positive energy, man, and I know you bring it, and you bring the passion as well. Because don't sleep on Tommie's background, y'all. Don't sleep on the background. It's all carefully calculated. You feel me? I see the candles in the back. I see the Exorcist. I see you, Tommie.
Hey, the thought.
Exactly.
It's the preparation.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I see you. And then we got my man Ken, from Sledgehammer Horror. Him and his wife Ash, they do a podcast, where they're talking to the horror community. It's literally anybody and everybody, who's who and who isn't a who's who, everybody all in one place, and it's just amazing, and it's very community based. Like it's one of the things that one of my many inspirations for doing Evol Live and getting to know the community and stuff like that. So we got Ken from Sledgehammer Horror.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I was reading my Bible. Sorry about that. What's up, buddy? Very happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. You were probably the first person to actually like interview me, and reach out and stuff like that. I know we had bonded over mental health and horror, just talking about like certain aspects and how mental health correlates to horror movies and stuff like that. So I always appreciate what you and Ash do for the community, and just how you guys just hold everybody down. You guys have some of the sickest conversations, very consistent, and it's we're looking out there, we're watching, you know. So if you have not subscribed, people, subscribe to Sledgehammer Horror, you know, because they're kicking ass out there.
And it's funny because like people are always like, what do you do to get guests to come on your show? And I'm like, ask. Like, it doesn't matter to me if you're a podcaster with one subscriber, if you're an actor that's been in 50 films. Like, to me, if you're willing to come on and hang out with us and talk about horror movies, that's so dope to me. So
yes.
The fact that I get to be here tonight with you is because of that. So thank you for allowing me to come on and, you know, be a part of this.
Oh yeah, man. It's always a good time, you know, like you say, you know, we're all family in this horror community thing, you know. So we're all rocking together. We're all rocking together, you know. So we're gonna get everybody on the screen here. We're gonna say hello to the chat. We got Jaleesa Taylor in the building. Jay Taylor in the building. Thank you for stopping by. We got Patrick in the building. Thank you for stopping by, Patrick. Showing love. We got Ryan Swayze. First time on the channel. Yes, thank you for stopping by, Ryan.
Make sure you subscribe. I love Tyrone. I love these guys. Make sure you're checking them all out.
Thank you. Everybody. Whitney, the reader fan, thank you for stopping by. You know, always showing love. Got double feature podcast. Mika and Kira. Killing. Other amazing, you know, horror content creators and just in general content creators. You know, they talk
the doubles
about
are amazing.
They're just they're a staple. They're definitely a staple.
To show how amazing they are, Ashley and I took our girls on a visit to Salem to go out there for Halloween, and Mika and Kira drove up there to meet us so that they could meet our daughters. We could meet and have a day together. So that's how amazing. And like Mika and Kira bonded with my middle child, Chloe, so quickly, and they just became so close, so quick, talking about TikTok and things like that. So Mika and Kira for forever will have a super special place in my heart, and I will love the doubles until the day I die. Like, they are the most amazing people in the world.
Listen. See, that's another thing that I love. Like when the horror community clicks up and we connect in real life, you know, and just it's all love. It's all love. Like I recently got to meet Michael, you know, at BlurCon, you know, which it was dope, man. It was dope, you know, just seeing everybody there. It was a family reunion. You
talk about family, and you can just look at the four of us and see the family resemblance here.
Exactly. Exactly. We also got Dice rolling in the building.
They are amazing.
Love. Yes, love Dice. Had Dice on the podcast not too long ago. Definitely got to get them back on the podcast. They are awesome.
Fantastic.
They're awesome. Jaleesa says Tommie will always be prepared with his backgrounds.
Hey, you already know, Jaleesa.
Yes. They already got you down. They got you down. All right. So we're gonna get into it. We definitely gonna get into it. You know, the Exorcist Believer. You know, it was promoted. They were like, we're making a trilogy. And I was like, what are we doing? You know, but to be honest, I am not a super fan of the original, you know, Exorcist. You know, like I own it on Blu-ray. I do enjoy it. And I was thinking about watching it again this weekend, but I'm not like, you know, one of those people that says it's like the best, you know, of all time and stuff like that. You know, like I have my critiques of it, but I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on like the Exorcist universe as a whole, you know, and it could be, you know, just some things that stand out as far as like the movies and stuff, some things that you love, some things that you may not love, you know. I guess we can, and I'm going to start with Tommie, you know, especially because I know you the religious aspect and just what you like to write about and stuff like that. So I've been waiting for your thoughts.
Yo, well, wow, Tyrone. So you said the Exorcist universe. I'm gonna try to keep this very, very short, y'all. The first Exorcist to me, 1973, is the horror movie of horror movies. It is the quintessential horror movie. To this day, it frightens me. And I think because for a number of different reasons, but largely because I it's a very serious horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a very serious horror movie from beginning to the end. The opening in like Iraq or wherever it was, all the way to the end, it's so immersive as a horror film. It's well written, well acted, and I just thought it presented possession in such a visceral way that it set the tone for every other possession movie after it, and not just possession movie, horror movies. I think generally, you go back, you got the Hitchcock, you got all of that, but to me, it's 1973, The Exorcist. When I think about the universe, though, I'm a huge fan of Part 3 with George C. Scott. I love the way he just yells in that movie about everything. But you got The Exorcist 3, George C. Scott. Part 2,
Yeah.
I think it's called Exorcist the Beginning. I can't really remember. But it's the one where they excavated the church that was like in the ground.
Yes.
I didn't have a problem with that one. I thought it was okay. And y'all, woo! I'm so excited to talk about this bad boy tonight because I went in when they said The Exorcist the Beginning. I held on to my wife. I'm like, hold on, don't move, don't talk. The trailer's about to come on, and I watched the trailer and I was like, we'll see, see, and we'll get into it. But this one, I wouldn't like it. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. That's it for right now.
Okay. Thank you for that, Tommie. Thank you for that. What about you, Michael? What are your thoughts on the Exorcist universe?
So I do like The Exorcist, but it's not one of my go-tos when I want to watch something. I haven't seen Part 2 all the way through. I've seen most of 3, which I heard is really good, so I do need to watch all of that. I love the TV show, which I watched a few months ago.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out if y'all haven't seen it. It's on Hulu. So I didn't have any expectations. I did wonder if it was going to hold up to the original. However, I didn't think it would. But also comparing something from 1973 to like today, for us specifically, it's going to be really difficult to like match that.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's more difficult than others. Like I feel like I'm coming across a lot of people who say they love the 2013 Evil Dead more than the original. So sometimes that magic happens. But what are your thoughts, Ken?
Each one of these movies is to me. The original Exorcist is the scariest movie of all time, in my opinion.
Yes.
It will always hold a special place for me. Growing up, my mom and dad owned a mom and pop video store called Downtown Video. Still got the flyer right here. You can see.
What's up?
Yes.
We had 6,000 movies, beta, VHS, and disc. So we had all those on there.
All right.
But that's the only movie my mom ever shut off while we were watching it. She was like, nope, too much. We're done. We're not doing this. So it will always have that stigma around it to me of being that movie as a kid. Then you get The Exorcist 2, which if The Exorcist 2 was a person, we would physically fight every time we saw each other because I would dislike them that much. To me, The Exorcist 2 is the worst movie ever made. Like, not just horror, the worst movie ever made. I hate that movie. Oh yeah, like I said, it's going down every time I see him. It's on. My daughter's baptism. I'm throwing him in the water. I don't care.
Do you hate it more than Curse of Michael Myers? It's an important question.
Whoa, man! Whoa, Curse of Michael Myers is not a bad movie.
Let me say this, because everybody that knows me knows I hate the Curse of Michael Myers too. But at least the Curse of Michael Myers is somewhat coherent. It has at least somewhat of a story to go with it. The Exorcist 2 is just like, hey, let's get Linda Blair to tap dance. That'll be fun. So The Exorcist 3, in my opinion, is the best movie in this franchise. I think that this movie has it all in what I look for in a film. It is that supernatural, which is my favorite subgenre of horror film, but it's also like a supernatural slasher because you do have those slasher elements to it. I think Brad Dourif's performance is criminally underrated in this film as the Gemini killer. I think that George C. Scott is hilarious in this movie when he's talking about the fish in the bathtub. You know, I haven't had a bath in 2 weeks. Can you smell me, detective? You know, like that whole moment is just great. And I think that it's got the best jump scare. I think the practical effects of like the old woman crawling on the ceiling while he's down there, the way that they shot that, it looks even today that holds up really, really well. And then you get the beginning and then the other one, part 5, that are pretty much essentially the same film, just cut differently. But the beginning has, in my opinion, the scariest / saddest scene of any of the Exorcist films when the Nazis are shooting the God is not here today priest and they're shooting the people. That to me fucked me up the first time I saw that movie in cinema. That broke my heart, like watching that, you know, because that's real life horror to me. You know, as someone whose grandmother escaped Nazi Germany, you can tell by the nose I'm quite Jewish, but as someone whose family had experienced these things firsthand, to see that type of thing broke me. You know, like that was so tremendously sad to me. And it's just one of those moments that you tie that around what is going on, like with the kid getting eaten and all the other horrific things that are happening in this movie. I don't think it's like a great movie by any stretch, but it's a movie that stuck with me because of certain scenes. Like I said, the God is not here today pre-scene fucked me up more than probably 90% of other movies I'd ever seen, just because you know that those are the type of things that really happened. You know, when these people were going through this, and then, you know, he has to pick out who gets shot next and who dies, or I'm going to kill them all. You know, those are the things in The Exorcist, the beginning, that really, really got me. And then with the newest one, I went into it already pissed off because I hate when they announce a trilogy. I hate it. I think it's the stupidest thing you can do. They did it with Halloween. They did it with The Exorcist. Now they've done it with Five Nights at Freddy's. When you come to me and you say, hey, we're going to make these 3 movies, but watch the first one and act like you like it anyway. You know, like that to me is just like, why announce that? Don't, because then I know at the end that there's something that's going to be left hanging. And
exactly.
Are we spoiling on this?
Oh yeah, fuck it. It's spoilers.
She's not dead. She's not dead. We didn't go to a funeral. The family met at the diner. You know, I think she's in a coma. I think she's still possessed. She's in a coma in the hospital. That's why we didn't get a funeral scene for that young girl. The other girl looked at her chair at the end, but we never saw that she died. We saw her get taken, but that doesn't mean that her body's not still alive. I think she's still alive in a coma, and that's going to be part of the crux of what's the next one? Deceiver?
Deceiver.
Yeah, Deceiver.
We got Believer, Deceiver, Golden Retriever, something like that. So I think in the next one, it's going to be the Deceiver part is, oh, she magically woke up, but is it her? This is the Deceiver part of it. The devil always lies to you. So I don't know. Like, I think that because like I said, I think they purposely didn't give you a funeral scene at the end of that movie.
That's true.
You know, you see her get taken, and then you see the family meeting at the diner for divorce and the friend looking at the chair, but there's never she's dead. There's never she's gone. So how else could you be Deceiver? You know, that's just my opinion. I think that we're going to get more of that story, which again, I don't think that this movie was great by any stretch. It's my 3rd favorite in this franchise. It goes 3, 1, Believer, The Beginning, literally anything else on the planet, watching my dog get hit by a car, stubbing my toe, stepping in Legos, and then The Exorcist 2. But it's just I get why people were upset, because if you took out maybe 10 minutes worth of cameos in this film, it could be its own movie. It doesn't have to be an Exorcist movie. But the cameo at the end made me cry like a fucking baby.
Oh yeah, the thing is, I don't feel like it was earned though, and I'm gonna say it. That shit was not fucking earned for me. Like I was, and I did feel myself get like a little bit emotional at the end with that scene, but I was like, no, fuck you guys. You didn't earn these tears, so they're not going to drop. I may get teary-eyed.
What I love about that though is like how well, because I went into this movie completely unspoiled. Like there was nothing spoiled in the film to me. Yeah. And I had no inkling that Linda Blair was coming back. None.
Mhm.
I was like, all right, maybe that they're going to set up at the end that she may be coming back for Deceiver. But to actually see her again, like I said, I got those little emo goosebumps when it happened. I was like, oh my God, they did it. Like they fucking did it. They really brought her back. And I didn't expect it, because of everything that she went through as a young lady. And that's something I'm very proud of with this movie. They didn't feel like they had to go through the avenues of what Linda Blair went through, doing casting meetings. Like, do you know how to masturbate? Are you know what I mean? To like a 12-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we've come a long way since then. So the way that they handled the two young girls in this movie, I thought was fantastic, and I thought they helped to carry the entire film.
Oh yeah. They definitely did their thing. Like I feel like they made the movie for me. We got the Doubles. They say the first Exorcist is the one of the first horror movies I remember watching. Still scares me today. Yes. Got Dice. The Exorcist 3 is my favorite as well.
Yeah.
We got Patrick. I saw Scary Movie 2 before I saw The Exorcist, and that ruined it for me because I laughed out. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm with you there, Patrick. I saw the Scary Movie 2 before I saw The Exorcist as well. And it's funny when you watch these spook movies beforehand and you see these references, and then you're like, oh, that's where that shit's from. So it's hilarious. But Doubles, The Exorcist 3 has one of the best jump scares. Yes. Exorcist 3 was definitely up there. It's a fun one. Patrick, the TV series was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
Yes. Jaleesa said shots fired. Yeah, it was some shots fired at Michael. Earlier. I'm gonna just put it out there in the universe though, because it needs to be known. The Curse of Michael Myers is better than Scream 3, Scream 5, and Scream 2.
Wait a minute.
But
I think you're going through a tunnel, Tyrone. You're losing service. I didn't quite hear what you just said. Thank God.
That's how I feel.
The Curse of Michael Myers is literally a guy with black boots and Paul Rudd doing this for an hour and a half. And then that guy became the sexiest man in America. Let that sink in.
We got Dell on movies. What's up, Dell? Thanks for stopping by. Showing love. The Doubles say wasn't a fan of Exorcist 2. Yeah. Patrick says, Ken, is it worse than Troll 2?
Yes.
Nothing's better than Troll 2, first of all.
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute, is it Troll 2 the one that Michael goes up for?
I always tell people to watch that. Always watch that movie immediately.
At least you have fun with Troll 2. Yes. The Exorcist 2 is one of those movies where when Ashley and I, because we were doing a franchise ranking, as we were watching that movie, we were literally checking the timestamp. Like, it's only been 3 minutes. Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
it is bad. It is bad.
Bad.
It is bad.
I'm assuming that was a different director then, right? Because from the trailer I saw, like, this doesn't even seem like it's in the same ballpark as the first movie.
It was literally hey, that was amazing. That made us a lot of money. Let's try to capture it again. And it didn't. It had no heart, no soul. The CGI and even the practical effects in this movie look garbage. Like really, really bad. The locust. It's just bad. It's bad. Yeah. And I'm one of those people that wants to celebrate art. Like if you're making art, I hope that someone loves it. I hope that there's somebody there to enjoy it. Just not The Exorcist 2. I hope that The Exorcist 2 steps on Legos as it falls into a fan Chucky 3 style.
Well, I mean, that's how I felt about what was it? Halloween Ends, and at some point Halloween 3. And also, what was the other one? Smile.
Just drag all those movies during this.
Yeah. I know. I know. I lost Ken with mentioning Halloween 3.
Son of a bitch. I got a shirt just so I could show everybody the truth. Okay, I'm like that prophet on the corner, like, don't put on the mask. Don't put on the mask. It's a good movie.
Love it.
Yeah, there's you know, Halloween has its good movies, you know, out there, like Halloween Resurrection, and then
I love Resurrection.
Yeah,
I'm not even being facetious. I love that movie.
Resurrection. Listen,
Y'all
we're
are
showing the
killing me.
love. We're so
Listen,
Okay.
tell me one time you've watched Halloween Resurrection and been like, I'm bored right now.
exactly.
Entertainment, baby. They have fun with that movie.
That's true.
And a big fact here, I'm about to go no cap on you guys. Halloween Resurrection proves beyond an absolute doubt Jason could take out Michael Myers. Because if Busta Rhymes can whoop Michael Myers' ass, Jason got that ass. He whooped that ass up and down Haddonfield.
That is not the real Michael Myers. Lies.
That is a very interesting way of looking at it, Ken. I appreciate it.
Who would win between Jason and Michael? Look, hold on. Okay, Busta took out Michael. He ain't got no chance against my boy Jason. Okay,
listen, Busta, what it is right now. Busta was messing with Michael, and then
Bruce Lee movies. So that's the only way you know how to do karate.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. You know, we got the doubles. They said the only thing that got me to see the new one was Ellen Burstyn. Yeah. It definitely was a moment, you know, just it was nice to see her on screen. But, you know, again, I was like, y'all trying to save bad execution by just throwing somebody up on the screen for me. You know, exactly. Definitely didn't feel the movie deserved all the hate it got. It should have been its own film. Yeah, yes. I was talking about it with Jaleesa. She said it should have been its own film as well. You know, Dice says you didn't earn these tears. Suck them up. Suck them back up. Exactly, Dice.
He's got a bottle. Like, I'm taking these home with me. You don't deserve them.
The double said, I love that ending scene with the reunion. Karen and I were so happy to see Linda. Sucks that the mom was not able to see her. That made us sad. Yeah.
But she knew she was there.
Yes. We got a Horror in the City. Tease in the building. Thanks for stopping by, Tease. Yeah, I love the ending as well. Yes. The ending, you know, it wasn't the hug and, you know, embrace and Reagan, you know, that was cool because I feel like y'all didn't go all the way with the ending that we got, but you know, we'll get to that. Dice says a bit of Ken's soul just disconnected there.
Reagan said, I'm not showing up until I know them girls are gone. I'm not showing back up. So that's why she didn't come to the end of the movie.
My mom's eyes were poked out. That sucks. Are the girls still there? Yes. Okay.
Right.
God, Patrick, Resurrection was trash. You know, listen.
Baby.
It's Dangertainment. You know, I need merchandise. I need Dangertainment merchandise.
Yes.
You know, the night he came home, this taint electric,
which is also the name of my sex tape. It's more of a break-in story, so to speak.
The devil say Michael taking Jason all day. You know,
I cancel all the stuff I said about them earlier. They're not good.
You know, we got Tamon in the building. Thanks for stopping by. King Tamon himself. You know, the host of all hosts. You know, the cast was nice. That's about it. Yeah, it was. I mean, everybody's got their opinions. You know, we gonna get into it. But my first question for you guys is if you were in the position of the dad, you know, in this situation, in this scenario, and you know, and a neighbor came to you and was like, you know what? I think that your daughter's possessed. I think that, you know, something's wrong, you know, and we in this, you know, I've seen this before, but I think that something's wrong. Like, would you then believe the neighbor, or would you, like, you know, be like, oh, get off my lawn, you know, with your shotgun? Like, would you believe the neighbor? Or would you be like, get off my lawn?
Oh, wow.
I need examples.
Oh, wait, what? Yeah. I mean, it's like if maybe not like your kid is not trying to kill you. Basically, they're not trying to kill you, but you start to see the changes, the little changes, the little subtle changes here and there, and you're like, man, something's off. Like something's extremely off. And then someone is like, you know what? They're possessed, and this is why. And I have these books on it, and I've experienced this, so they're possessed. So what's your as a father, Ken? What's your take on that? Yeah.
I mean, like, it's hard because I think as a father, I would know right away that something was off with my daughter, with either one of them. I would know right away that they're not my little girl anymore.
Yeah.
And at that point, I don't care what I have to do. If I have to try a native ritual, I'll try it. If I have to try an exorcism, I'll try it. Anything short of cutting into them and physically hurting them, I'm willing to try it. I'll give them whatever I have of myself. If I have to, John Q myself and give them my heart, if that's what I got to do, it's what I got to do. So if this lady comes to me with a recommendation of, this is something that we could potentially do to try to help save your daughter, is that something you're willing to do? Well, of course it is. I'm not going to go into this closed-minded. I've talked about these movies as a whole, watching these from a little boy compared to watching them as a father.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing and it happened in this movie too. One of my favorite Easter eggs in this movie, when you see "help me" on her stomach, because at that point as a father, my little girl is still in there. This isn't just a demon. She's in there and she's suffering. What do I have to do to stop this? And at that point as a father, I'll do whatever I have to. I don't care what lengths I have to go to. I have to, beg, borrow, cheat, steal, kill. I don't care what I have to do. That's my little girl. And it's my job on this planet to protect her and keep her safe. And that's what I'm going to do no matter what. So if that was one of my little girls, I don't care. Whatever I got to, short of hurting someone else and choosing another kid, anything short of that, I couldn't live with that. Anything short of that, I think I could do to save my little girl. Take whatever you got from me. Take me, whatever. Yeah. I've seen all I had to see. They haven't even lived yet. My daughters are 11 and 3. They don't know a fucking thing about a fucking thing yet. Don't take them. Take me. I've done enough. I'm 37. I've been married to my wife for 18 years. I've had 3 kids. I've gotten to experience every possible great thing except grandchildren that I could possibly experience. Leave my little girls alone. Let me do whatever I got to do. If I got, like I said, we'll perform a native ritual. Okay, that's fine. We'll come in and do an exorcism. What do you want? I'll bless the water. Whatever I have to do to save my little girl, I will do it. And I don't give a fuck what anybody on the street says, what the other neighbors say. I don't care. I'm going to save my little girl, no matter how stupid or silly or pathetic I look to anybody else. So that's the one part of this movie that when the dad is kind of questioning her, I'm like, what the fuck? What's the worst that could happen right now, man? Like, what's the worst that could happen? They're going to come in and throw holy water on her. And she's going to be like, no, I'm good. All right, that didn't work. Let's try something else. Whatever you got to do it. I'll help.
Oh yeah. No, I love that answer, man. I love that answer. It's very, very passionate. I believed every word. Man. And what about you, Tommie? What would you do in that position, man?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, Tyrone. As a father, I agree with everything Ken said. And I would also have to say a couple of things. One, when I saw it in the movie, at first I was like, damn, he really kind of like accepted that possibility rather fast. But at the same time, which kind of confused me a little bit because he seemed like his faith seemed a little conflicted. But for me personally, which y'all, when I was growing up younger, I caught a lot of, so I'm a Christian and I absolutely love horror movies. Mm-hmm. And so as a young person, particularly like in college and things like that, a lot of my friends were like, oh, Tom, Tommie's the Christian guy, Tommie's the Christian guy. But they'd be like, what are you doing? Oh, he in the room hemmed up watching Jason, or he in the room hemmed up watching Michael Myers. So I don't know. It's a weird thing with me, but I absolutely love horror movies. So I have like my stack of horror movies, and then in another room I have like all these books on like religion at the same time. So it's a very interesting thing about myself that I'll be like, damn, where did this come from? So that said, if somebody was to approach me and my child had gone through, or had something like that, because it is within the realm of possibility, because possession is within the realm of my faith umbrella, I would believe it. If not believe it, I would at least, like Ken said, I would at least try it.
Right.
I certainly wouldn't fluff it off as like an impossibility.
Sure.
Because my faith teaches me that it is a possibility, albeit,
through him, all things are possible.
Improbable, unlikely is still a possibility. And so, yeah, I absolutely would look at it and say, oh, I don't know. I do know, if we go on based on what the movie, sort of, showed us, the daughter's acting really weird, kind of abruptly, because up to that point, she seemed rather normal. And then all of a sudden, she's like off over here someplace doing whatever she's doing. And if I'm not mistaken, in the movie, when the neighbor came up to him and asked, I think he was sort of doing his internal battle, you know what I'm saying? Because I think he had already seen some stuff that his daughter, displayed, and it was like, this is so unlike her nature that maybe something else is going on too. But that's a very interesting question though, Tyrone, because I think, we all sort of bring in our, whatever our faith is, whatever it is. I think we will always, that would be sort of like right there along with our answer. If somebody was to approach us and be like, hey, I think I've seen this before.
Well, see, and to go along with that, because I wouldn't say I'm Christian. I believe Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, but I think Christianity has a lot of hypocrisy that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So, in that aspect, for me, and I'm with you. I've always believed, my grandmother, like I said, she was Jewish, but my mother's whole side of the family was Christian, so that's what I gravitated to. Yeah. I was very blessed to have a mom that was like, I'll let you decide what you think is right. I'm not going to force you.
Yeah.
But that's what I gravitated to, and I think maybe that is why I would be a little more accepting of it, because I've grown with it. I've learned about it as a child. Through him, all things are possible. So it just boils down to, I agree with you now that you say it like that, because maybe if it was something of a different faith that I didn't know much about, exorcisms, obviously growing up, we know about these things, so we kind of have an idea. But if someone came to me and was like, we're going to do a hachabakalaka thing to her, I'd be like, what the fuck is that? I don't think I'm okay with that. That was my German impression, by the way. That's probably terrible. But, I would have to at least have some sort of understanding of what we're going to be doing. So when you break it down like that, you're right. Maybe that's why in an instance like this, I would be so accepting to an exorcism, because I kind of have an idea what that is. If it was some, ritual of Chud, from it, we're going to try this. I don't know about that. That seems kind of scary to me.
Yeah. Very interesting though. Very interesting. I like the question.
Thank you. What about you, Mike? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't have kids, but okay, if we're talking about this specific neighbor, she already was getting on my nerves in the beginning, so I probably would not initially listen to her. But the moment where what's her name, Angela, when they got back and they were acting strange, I think I would initially think that something traumatic happened. I probably wouldn't jump to something spiritual going on. Yeah. But her popping in and out of the bathroom, the lights, that would be enough for me. And I'm calling my mother up. She's a minister. And I'd be like, look, I don't normally listen to you, but I need you to fly out here immediately, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
And that'll be the first step. And then we'll just take it from there. Because I'm a scary person. I would probably lock my bedroom door if my kid was acting like that. Because I can't.
I like how Mike was like, I don't have kids, so fuck them kids. They can handle it on themselves.
Like, normally I would say boarding school, but I can't afford that. So,
well, if you've seen this before, neighbor, you take her and handle it.
I mean, hello, help me.
I will say, one of the realest moments in this movie for me, and the moment where I was like, "Oh, that's so real," and I love the way they executed that particular moment, was when the one girl's parents were, I think they were Protestant. You know what I'm talking about, Michael? Like her parents were like, yeah, they went out there, she picked up something evil, blah, 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 blah. And I thought that was a direct reflection of their faith.
Yeah.
Because no hesitation, most of the time, we all know, particularly us in the horror, we all know it normally takes 45 minutes to convince somebody in these movies that something is really going on the spiritual level.
Like, and that's 45 minutes of runtime. Sometimes you're like 2 weeks in real time.
Yeah.
Exactly. But in this movie, in that moment, because of their faith, they immediately, were like, yeah, I think they went out there, played with some stuff that they shouldn't have played with, and brought back something with them, like something evil. And I thought that was a moment where I was like, yes, I can literally hear people who I know personally, who would utter those exact same words if a situation was going on that mirrored that. So I thought that was I thought that part of the movie was very well executed because it was so relatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not in a way that I've gone through anything like that, but just like, relatable in the sense that, it seemed real. It seemed real.
No, I understand. It definitely hit some of these, like I have criticisms of the movie, but some of the aspects were, very relatable, and they tried to hit on some realism, so I did respect it. Dice said if our neighbor came to my parents and told them they thought I was
You're just now noticing this?
We got Tamon. He said institutionalize
Not
them.
Start a new family.
It's funny because I've talked about The Exorcist before, and the difference is like dead serious between watching it as a kid and watching it as a parent. And as a kid, that was my thought. Like, that's a demon now. Just burn the house down, get out of there. You can make new kids. I heard that's fun. But like as a parent, that's my little girl. I don't care. I'll do whatever. And then the help me always is what it comes back to.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, it's like I don't understand that type of love. So to me, it's just a demon. Who cares? Your girl's gone. That's a demon. Burn the house down. Get out of there.
That's why I normally in movies, the father at the end, because we're doing spoilers, right? The father at the end who chose his daughter, normally in other movies that would piss me off, but I understood in that moment why he immediately was like, oh no, it's not going to be mine. I choose you. I choose you, Catherine.
But
I called it in the movie. The devil wants to make it pretty, so whatever you choose, it's going to be the opposite because the devil's job is to trick you. And one of the best lines of any movie that I always put into this is Tales from the Hood 3, when Tony Todd says, evil has a way of making itself look really nice and shiny on the outside. And that to me is the perfect explanation of how the devil is in these movies. He's going to give you this beautiful idea of how you can save yourself or save somebody else. But the deceiver is going to trick you. That's his job, is to deceive you and make you do his bidding. So that's why, like, when he chose her, I was like, he just killed his own daughter. Like, he killed his own daughter. Oh my God. Like, the other dad was like, good call.
Oh yeah, afterwards he looked angry as a motherfucker.
Okay, but hold up, real fast, Ken. Like, do you think that you think that was the reason why she was chosen by the devil at the end? Is because the dad?
Yeah, I think because the preacher was trying to tell him, do not pick one because the devil is the deceiver. He was trying to warn them, do not do his bidding because the devil, he only works for himself. So what's another way that I can make these parents suffer? Make them kill their own kid, essentially. So now that they've made that choice and they chose to what they thought was save their own daughter, in turn, in my opinion, put her in a coma. I don't think she's dead. We already talked about that. I think that she will be back in the sequel. I don't have any insider knowledge on that. That's just a personal opinion.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at what it's done to their family now. We see at the end, they're getting a divorce at the diner. They're doing this, they've now completely destroyed their own life.
Yeah.
And that's what the devil wants, is to tear you apart, because it's easier to infiltrate your life when you're at your weakest. And how else are you at your weakest? You've done his bidding. You've lost your daughter. Now you've lost your family. Now you're very susceptible to what the devil has to offer. And that, to me, again, he literally made them destroy their own lives.
It's 101, man. It's 101. You know.
I real fast. I'm sorry, Tyrone. Real fast. Problem. What I was thinking, Ken, was I initially I thought the same thing, and I still kind of think the same thing, but I'm a bit torn between that sort of like school of thought, and then the other school of thought that I was like, well, damn, maybe it's because it's my wife and I were out talking about it, and I said I think it's probably because the other girl went through some sort of like ceremony while she was in her mother's womb still, whereas the other girl didn't. And remember, the mother was upset. She said, I wanted to get her baptized, but we wanted to wait until she was old enough to understand. Whereas the other girl, she kind of went through like a ritual that we saw in the beginning of the movie. And so it was almost, to me, like I thought that she was protected because of the ritual that she had gone through, even still in her mom's womb. Whereas the other girl didn't have that sort of baptism. And I thought that made her susceptible to actually getting caught at like being the one that he wanted. Because
I think that the ritual is what kept her going this far. Because if you remember the ritual, she died. You know, the baby died, and they had to bring her back. I think that's the ritual coming into play. I think obviously because we all know how Blumhouse works, that ritual is going to really come into play in 2 and 3 of this trilogy. I think that especially when she was like, you chose mom, not me. You chose
that was heartbreaking.
Mom. Oh my gosh.
That was heartbreaking.
Which is funny because, again, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I haven't met my baby yet. I know my wife. Save her. I'll be honest. I'm not trying to be heartless. I know I say fuck them kids a lot and shit, but I don't miss anything with my kids. I love my kids. They are literally I almost forgot what the point of life was until I held my son for the first time.
Right.
But if you're pregnant and I got to save my wife, who is the only thing I've ever known since high school, or this baby that I've never met, fuck that kid. I'll make another one. You know, like
Invincible.
Kids. But when you have that, I think that ritual, because if you notice, like the other girl, she went through it a lot more. So I think that she was more protected because of the ritual. But if the devil wants her, I don't think that a ritual or a baptism would have saved her if they made their choice. I think if the other dad would have chose her, I think she would have got taken too. I think the ritual it's kind of like a protection, like a protection spell. But it's not going to protect you from everything forever.
I mean,
it's interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you have two choices, with the devil, it's not a good outcome.
It came down to faith. So it's almost like they were testing everybody in the room. And unfortunately, the father was the one who ended up giving in. And so it saw a little chink in the armor. And then Catherine ended up leaving, which is fucked up the way it happened because she came back and then left. It was snatched up.
One of the best parts of the movie, though, is right before that. When the dad, I'm really bad at title or people's names, but when the dad goes outside, the fight's in the house. That part was so, like, I was like, yes, like, we're in here fighting for our lives. Get in here and help us. And again, is this a perfect movie? No. Is it in my top 5 of the year? Absolutely not. I don't hate it. I feel like, and I feel the same way for this as I felt about Halloween 2018. I left the theater like, it was all right. That was decent. Then I watched Halloween Kills and I was like, Halloween 2018 really wasn't that bad. Then I watched Halloween Ends and I was like, Halloween 2018 was probably the best of the trilogy. So, I mean, the next one could maybe make this one better. Like, kind of like, if you remember when The Empire Strikes Back, I don't know if you guys are big Star Wars fans. When The Empire Strikes Back came out, it was panned and people hated it because the ending. Really? And then Return of the Jedi came out and people were like, oh, it tied it together now. That movie was dope. We love The Empire Strikes Back now. So the way that this movie ends, there's so many different directions it could go for Deceiver. Is Reagan going to be back? Is the one girl really dead? I think there's so many different directions they could go that could tie up loose ends that happened in this one, that it might make us change our outlook on this movie if we watch it 3 years from now after we've seen Deceiver.
So do you guys think this is a good movie as a standalone movie, or is it like you're saying, it needs completion for it to be seen as a good movie?
It's average. It's average as a standalone.
It's average as a standalone. Because I don't think it really, if you did this as a standalone movie and you didn't connect it to any of the other Exorcist movies, you're taking out Ellen Bernstein, you're taking out Linda Blair. If you're taking all that out of the equation, it's just another possession movie. There's nothing really that makes it special. Another thing that really bums me out is we don't even hear the mention of the name Pazuzu throughout the film, which I'm kind of a stickler here, because Eileen Dietz, the original Pazuzu, has become a good friend of mine. So like I was really hoping for a cameo from her, because she wouldn't tell me. I was like, come on, just tell me. She was like, NDA. I was like, yeah, don't care. Tell me what if you're in it. But it's one of those things where that, to me, it was one of the scariest parts of the OG Exorcist, was being able to see that demon for a little bit and get that little hint of ooh, that little flash. I was hoping for something like that. Or when she was like, I know your daughter. It's like, hold on. Are you Pazuzu? Because I wanted to hear that name muttered. I just wanted.
That's what confused me, because in the end, because at first I was like, okay, this is like realistic, what I would consider realistic possession, until we got to the end and they're floating and shit with lights. But you get little flashes, and I was like, well, that don't look like Pazuzu, whatever that is. So I went and looked it up. There's some other. Hold up.
That was the Netflix. I call it the Netflix spirit, because that's how them spirits be looking when you just surfing.
Its
Netflix
name
at midnight.
is Lamashtu. So it's a female demon that preys on infants, and it's weird because they're saying it's basically the dichotomy between that one and Pazuzu, and it's almost like Pazuzu overpowers that one with its evil powers, which is really confusing. I wish we got more demon shit and understood who the fuck this was, because it did recognize what's her name in the hospital. So that confused me, because I'm like, well, that has to be Pazuzu, right? Unless there's some connection going on that they're talking about each other. I don't know. So that needed to be a little more clear.
What if, because you said Lamashtu, which sounds like an awesome like mosh pit dance at a hardcore show. What are you gonna do? Mosh? Well, I'll Lamash too. Well, like you said that's one that preys on infants, right? So what if this has been with her since the protection spell? Because neither one of these girls are infants anymore. So for it to prey on infants, maybe it's been with her since that protection spell. And maybe that's a way that they could do this in Deceiver. The deception of that spell in the original one was actually the deception of her being, manifested with this demon, that spread once they went and did that ritual in the woods. Maybe she's the one that brought it out, not the other way around.
Yeah.
We're just writing better movies tonight. Well, I mean,
when you think about it that way, because neither one of these girls are infants. Neither one of them are not even in any type of religion are they in any type of infancy.
Yeah.
So for this Lamashu to be one that preys on infants, that could be a really good Easter egg into, you go back and rewatch this one and you realize that protection spell, what if it was done wrong because of the earthquake and something got messed up with the mom, and now rather than being a protection, it brought on this Lamashtu and connected to her spirit until it was able to come out with this thing they did in the woods, infecting the two of them together.
I'm here for it.
Someone give us something on the phone.
Give us something.
Yeah. Tell them to get it together. Tell them to get it.
But that would make a lot of sense, because it also mentioned pregnant mothers, so it makes a lot of sense.
See what I mean?
I wish they would have explained something in this, but
there's just so many different ways they can go with Deceiver on what, especially now that I know that. Like, what's the big thing? Obviously, we know the devil is the ultimate deceiver. Satan is the ultimate deceiver. But again, is it the deception of Linda Blair? Maybe there's something there with her to just show back up out of nowhere once all this shit has gone down. Is it the deception of Catherine not really being dead, being in a coma, but what's taken over her body? Is it the deception of the protection spell from the beginning of Believer? There's just so many different ways that they could go with this one, and I'm here for it, man. Horror is kicking ass right now, and
oh yeah, top dog.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's amazing, and watching horror in November win box offices, watching Five Nights at Freddy's be the highest grossing horror film by a female director of all time. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Horror's been about inclusion since Nosferatu. So to see these things that are succeeding like this, fucking run it. I'm so proud of the horror community and how open and loving it is. Like, it's just, and to see us come together, 4 people that don't know each other outside of this, to come together and have same and different ideas, but be civil and respectful and kind about it. This is the best, man. Like, this is so fucking cool.
Absolutely.
Nothing's like the horror community. Nothing's like the horror community. We got a Bobby Torrez in the building. Bobby likes
my love.
In the building.
What's up, Bobby?
Ladies and gentlemen, the other half of People Under the Scares,
the shadier half, even though y'all act like I'm the shady one. He just hides it well.
If y'all aren't subscribed, to People Under the Scares, make sure you check out the podcast. Also, subscribe to Scream Kings. They in their 2nd season, right now doing their thing. We got Doubles. The Double said, yes, the main girl was given that protection in the beginning. I don't know what they do for a trilogy. It's we had a lot of ideas. You know
what I noticed about David Gordon Green? He likes a group project. He normally, it may be 1 or 2 people versus some evil entity. He's like, no, I want a whole group going after Michael. I want a whole group going after these damn demons. I think he just likes having a large cast do things in movies versus focusing on a few people.
I read some things about the movie after I saw it, and I was like, okay, I don't want anything to taint the way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I do think though that if you ask me, like, the original Exorcist, the 1973 version, the one that our parents talk about that scared them to their core, the ones that we hear all this stuff about, I feel like when they went into the room to screenwrite that, they did it. Like, I could just see them like on a chalkboard. I'm going back to a chalkboard. I can see them on the chalkboard. And at the very first thing they write down is, what do we want to accomplish? What do we want to accomplish with this movie? And number 1, they said, frighten people. Mm-hmm. With this one, I feel like they went to the chalkboard and they were like, frighten people was like number 3 or 4 or 5. And like number 1 was convey the subtle messages about themes and people and community, and that's all fine. And that's all fine. That's so fine. But we talking about the Exorcist. Mm-hmm. The Exorcist. Those are some large ass shoes to fill.
Yeah.
When you talk about the Exorcist, if you throw out a theme here and there, fine. Mm-hmm. But I'm walking out of there saying, I just saw The Exorcist. Yeah. And it rocked me to my core. That's what I think about when I hear that word Exorcist. And so, at least, in this especially in this universe, and I'm just like, I just feel like there were so many things. You guys, you brought up the community thing and how all these actors came together and all these. There was so much going on, theme-wise, that I think it overshadowed the fear factor. When I'm watching, show me that girl walking down the stairs like a spot. Listen to me. That still frightens me to this day. When I look at them, when I look at that, I'm like, oh my God. Could you imagine seeing something like that? This girl is walking backwards downstairs, or her head turns half. That is some stuff that just gets into your bone marrow. And when I'm looking at this, I'm like, all the voiceover monologue about people and
The
community.
long scenes.
And I'm just like,
Just-
I'm like, oh God, like I get it. It's very nice. It's very nice, but scare me. And I didn't get that. And I know it's possible. Just go to the board and put down number 1, frighten people. And
If you think that's bad, wait until the next one when they're just walking down the street saying, "The devil's exercise tonight."
oh my God.
The devil's exercise tonight.
I was just disappointed, man. The Exorcist, when you say you were part of the Exorcist timeline or whatever, those some large shoes to fill. Yeah. And if you're gonna bring back the original OG characters from the Exorcist, yo, research. I love what you just did, Michael. You looked up the name of that demon and was like, okay, they could have just spent time on that. Dig into that. Why this girl? Is it the same demon? Did somebody find the Ouija board that Reagan was playing with in the original one? Is that how the demon came back? Something. But just to all of a sudden, you hit me hard. You hit me hard in the beginning. I admit, I was with the whole Haiti part. I'm like, okay, because the opening in the OG one was Iraq. Now we in Haiti. I'm feeling that. But then it became almost PG. It became like a PG horror flick. And I'm like, no. Like, what are you doing?
Okay.
You're messing with the OG here.
Question. What could they do that, because we're so desensitized now versus back in 1970, what was it, 3? Yeah. So like, what could they do that would shock us and scare us is going to be really difficult to do, even though it doesn't seem like they tried in this. But
for me, like, get rid of the unnecessary jump scares. A jump scare to me ruins horror. Unless it's done very, very well, it's lazy. This movie could have potentially had the moments of just the long, drawn out, drop the score, long, drawn out anxiety. What's happening? Where are we going? What are we doing? The perfect example, I thought I was completely desensitized to horror until I saw 2020's The Dark and the Wicked. That movie fucking rocked me.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Thank you for recommending that in the middle of the night, and I watched it. Thank you.
Oh my God. Like, that movie scared the shit out of me. The moment, like, you have little moments where it's not a jump scare, but you see Michael looking out the window and the mom's floating outside, and then you hear her just softly sing behind him for a half a second, and he turns. And like, those moments, give me that. Give me moments where you drop that score so everybody expects a jump scare, so they're bracing for it, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And you're constantly like, please, laugh, jump, break this tension from me, please. And don't break it. Yeah. Don't break that tension. Yeah. That, to me, is how you still scare people, even veteran horror watchers. That's how you still get them. Make them think that jump is coming. Make them think that scare is going to rock them, and never bring it. Just keep dragging that tension, drag that anxiety. The Conjuring 2 did a really good job at doing that too.
Yes.
You keep thinking like, here comes that jump. Here comes that jump. Will you just fucking do it already? I'm ready. Come on. And it keeps going. So you have that tension in your chest. Yeah. And like, that to me is when you can really make a horror movie horrific again. We've gotten to a point to where we think that here and to me, I call it the Paranormal Activity effect. Yeah. If you guys remember, the trailer for the Paranormal Activity, the first one was just people in a movie theater screaming. Yes. That's all it was. Ah! Yes. And we were like, whoa, what the hell are they watching? I need to go watch that and have that feeling. And ever since then, that's what people go for. I want people to scream in the theater real quick and then it be done. No, that's not what we want. Drag that tension. Make me feel that tension for 5-10 minutes. And, by that time, I'm literally begging you to break it. I'm begging you, please do something. Please break this tension, because I feel it so all the way down in my bones. So that to me is how you come back in The Exorcist Deceiver and you fucking scare me again. Yeah. You put these people in real peril and you drag it out. You don't need a jump scare to break it. Do not give me a jump scare. Let it go. Let it go. let it go, and then change the scene to something completely different with no jump scare, no something crazy, go back to something else, and then come back later and, oh my God, we're still fucking doing this? I had forgotten about this shit. Come on, please do something. That to me is how you make a perfect horror scare now.
I love what Michael said though. I love the question you asked, Michael, in terms of like, are we so desensitized? You know, can we still be scared? And I absolutely think that's a really on the point response. Ken, is like being like, okay, yeah, you know, sort of like spread it out, the suspense and things like that. For me, when I think about, because that's a great example. You bring up Paranormal Activity, which the first one actually scared me.
Mm-hmm.
The first Conjuring, that was creepy. Sinister was kind of creepy. The Medium on Shudder, that's creepy. The Dark and the Wicked, or of course When Evil Lurks. I mean, it's yes. I think it's about shoot. For me, if the subject matter is thick enough, particularly along religious lines, that draws me in. And I don't know if it's really like a cerebral experience more for me, but I start thinking about it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy like a movie like The Omen, the original Omen, because it drew me in. The subject matter, when they start talking about, you know, the gods drawn on the walls, and you know, they were in Iraq, and the ancient of it all, and all of that just kind of, it was thick. It seemed like a course that I could have taken.
Yeah.
This one just, it missed the mark badly, because even if they had spent more time diving into what this presence is, what is this presence, where it came from, has it always been here, why them, if it had just dug into that and maybe make it seem ancient, how did this thing end up, where did it come, why is it in the woods, why these girls can't be the first ones to ever play around with like a spirit testing. Exactly. Like it just leaped over so much stuff that even if it had just stayed still in just one of those things it leaped over, I think it could have been a frightful film. It just was doing too much. It did too much.
I think this did exactly what Halloween 2018 did, and this played way more fan service than anything else. They were worried about making the fans of the original happy, and by Halloween Kills, they had learned, don't do that. Make your own movie. I mean, in Halloween 2018, you got, you know, Andy Matichak looking out the window and seeing Laurie there, and then she's gone, just like they did with The Shape in 78. And they were doing stuff like that in this one. They were giving you all this fan service. And it feels like, especially with Blumhouse, in that first chapter, they're going to give you more fan service than they are the other two. I don't think in The Exorcist Deceiver or whatever the third one's going to be, that we're going to get as much of the fan service stuff as we did in the first one. I think the first one was kind of just like, because they knew, I think if this would have been, hey, this is going to be a standalone film, it would have been a completely different film. 100% different film. And they would have taken the best parts of what they're going to do in Deceiver and whatever the third one is and done it all into one film. But since they know we paid what, $800 million for this franchise,
right?
We're going to draw people in with the first one.
Right.
And then that's why people were like, oh, this movie failed. They're not going to do a second and a third one. I was like, they paid the money. They're doing the films.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that in the next two is when we're really going to get to the meat of what is the spirit? Where did it come from? Why is it these girls? I think that's where we're going to get the real meat of the sandwich. Like this first one was the bread. Now we're going to get the meat parts, especially in Deceiver, just like Kills. You look at Kills. When you watch a Halloween movie, you watch it for brutality. Halloween Kills was the perfect example of taking its own film, shitty dialogue, but they upped the ante. Probably the goriest, most graphic Halloween film that's not a Rob Zombie one.
Right.
And they didn't give a shit about story. They didn't give a shit about dialogue. You guys want kills? We'll give you some fucking kills. That's what we'll do here. We'll kill the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
So I think in the second one, they're gonna aim for they're gonna throw a fastball and they're gonna swing as hard as they can at this one. And they're gonna swing for the fences to try to get people to come in and be ready for the third one. So I expect a lot of shock factor in this next one. I expect them to really go hard in, we're going to dissect everything. We're going to give you everything we have, and we're going to leave you just a little bit of breadcrumb to bring you back for the third one. So I very much expect them with this next one to get rid of all the fan service. I don't like the fact that they're talking about taking David Gordon Green off of directing. If you want to get a different writing team, I understand that. The problem with The Exorcist Believer is not the directing at all. I think that's one of the saving graces of the film is the direction, some of the shots they did. I thought it was directed wonderfully. David Gordon Green did a fantastic. If you want to talk shit about David Gordon Green, the writer, go ahead. But I don't think you have any legitimate argument about David Gordon Green, the director, in any of his films.
Yeah,
I think he's always been he knows his shots. He knows what he wants out of his actors. Leave him alone as a director. If you want to get a new writing team, yeah, well, you got 4 guys right here that could tell you about the mosh pit or whatever the hell that demon was. But I don't think the problem with that movie was direction. And again, we might look at this movie in 5 to 10 years and go, wow, now that I know where the story went, it means a whole lot more to me now to watch Believer.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem, what we were talking about earlier with, if you're going into it knowing you're making a trilogy, you have nothing you have to wrap up in the first one. All these loose ends, you can leave them open. Who gives a shit? You're going to forget about it in 5 years when you've seen the second and third one anyway.
Yeah.
So we're leaving you enough loose ends to make you come back for the sequel, but not enough loose ends to where you're pissed off to not want to see a sequel.
Yeah.
So that's what really bothers me. Just like the Five Nights at Freddy's thing. Like when Matthew Lillard came out, I was like, yay, guys, I just signed a 3-movie deal for Five Nights at Freddy's. And then Blumhouse was like, shut the fuck up, Matthew. He was like, oh, psych. You know, like, I was like, God damn it. Seriously? Like, whatever. But in a movie like The Exorcist, I just wish they would have went balls out on the first one, man. Just pulled out all the stops on the first one. If it's successful, you've got a great writing team at Blumhouse. Write me a second one after that. Don't go into it with 3 scripts already written and spread apart. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I think they should have slowed it down as far as like a certain aspect for me that was the most horrifying aspect of the movie is when the 2 girls were missing for a couple of days and then they come back and then, you know, go to the hospital and the kids are broken out. And that part to me was like, oh, are we going here with it?
Super
and
uncomfortable.
I'm like it made me uncomfortable, but I also feel like if done properly, it would have made an awesome horror film, you know, but they didn't necessarily go in that direction. Like, okay, what are the ramifications of this experience? You know, they went there a little bit, but I felt like they could have gone there without being creepy,
graphic,
you know, without being graphic or being creepy,
right.
You know. So,
because I think that lasted too long.
Yeah, I think that was a callback to what happened to Reagan in the first one, when Reagan was going through all those experiments that were as almost disturbing as the actual possession itself. But when they were going through the needle being, poked in the side of her neck and all those excruciating tests that she was going through, that was a lost part of the first one. Just watching her go through the science of it, like watching the family go through the science of it all and realize that science can't help.
Right.
I just felt like you said, Tyrone, it was like there were moments that they could have captured and just sat there. Just like in the original Exorcist, because the original Exorcist knew it had us. It knew it had us to a point to where they were like, we can take 20 minutes just on the science. And you all are going to sit here and watch it because we got you at this point.
I was just going to say, they could have drug out.
Yeah.
They could have drug out, especially even the girls being gone. They could have drugged that out a little more because every fucking parent that was in that theater was squirming at that moment. We know they're going to come back. We know they're going to be possessed, but it's still that anxiety of not knowing that can kill a parent.
Yeah.
Where's my little girl?
Not knowing, and also adding to the aspect of like, they're gone because motherfuckers is getting possessed. So maybe have one of the spirits, like maybe not have the girls come back so fast, but have the spirit come back to the house and start fucking with the parents, and then we get introduced to the girl, and that's what makes them second guess like what the fuck is going on, because they're seeing all this creepy shit happen. Then the next thing you know, the little girl pops up like, oh, nothing's wrong or whatever, and it's like, what do you mean nothing's wrong? You've been gone for 3 days, and she's like, oh, nothing's wrong, and then they start to see, you know, the evil shit that's been, you know, happening.
Love it.
So,
Even that part, even though it was in the trailer when he's like, honey, you've been gone for 2 weeks. Like that part, you know, you're like, whoa, like those are heavy. I only watched the first trailer. That's all I ever do anymore. I'll watch the first initial trailer and then I'm done.
Yep.
Like the Exorcist Deceiver, I won't watch any trailer for that movie when it drops. I will go into it completely blind. I wanted to watch what I love about these reboots, even if they're not very good. They introduce a younger generation to the Exorcist.
Yes.
You know, this younger generation that may have never heard of the original Exorcist, they go back and watch it. Just like if you look it up in 2018, the sales and streams of Halloween 78 went up like 48% that year. Just because people that had never seen it went back and watched it. We just did the same thing with The Exorcist. So reboots and remakes, even if they're dog shit, can serve a really good purpose. And which is a really funny story that I don't know if you guys have ever heard, but Ellen Bernstein, when the first Exorcist came out, she went to watch it in her local theater. And a guy passed out in the theater. And she went up to help him, and she was like, I don't know if I should help this guy. I don't want my face to be the first thing he sees when he wakes up from passing out. I think that's one of the greatest stories, but we don't. And Terrifier 2 proved me wrong. I said we would never get another movie in the theaters that impacted people like that. And then Terrifier 2 came out and said, hey, Ken, hold my knife. And it went in there and it made people puke and throw up and leave the theater. And I just think that it's brilliant. When you think about the only two movies that I think really capture that were The Exorcist and The Blair Witch Project. Because those two movies, you didn't know what you were getting into. And we forget about how great the marketing for the Blair Witch Project was.
Yeah.
You know, was this real? Was this not real? We didn't have Google in our pockets. You know,
it's still real to me. It's still real.
It's like professional wrestling. It's still real to me, damn it. But it's just one of those things where The Exorcist, you know, the scariest movie the churches don't want you to see. So people were like, ooh, what was that? You know, the Catholic Church doesn't want you to watch this movie. So it's selling out theaters, and old women are puking and crying, and kids are running out of the theater, and moms and dads, churches were like up 200% at that time. You know, like, I swear to God, the Catholic Church probably wrote and directed The Exorcist on the low. How do we get people to come back to church? Let's scare them. You know, but
only to turn them away. If I got something going on and you tell me I got to go to the fucking doctor and I'm seeing all this shit, we're gonna have a problem.
Get out of here.
That irritated the fuck out of me. I'm seeing some unnatural shit right now.
I wish we could get another movie that could. I mean, like I said, Terrifier 2 did a great job of, you know, of grossing people out. I wish we could get another movie that could just genuinely scare people to the point of where they're leaving the theater because they're so full of fear. Like The Ring did that. They had like 3 people die of heart attacks while watching The Ring. You know, so like I wish we could recapture those moments of pure terror. And I think that's really hard to do, especially in the internet age, where we can just go and watch trailers whenever we want and, you know, try to look up all the background information before a movie before we ever go watch it. It's really hard to go into stuff not only unspoiled but unsurprised. Like it sucks.
I think we're in the age now of like you said, pure terror, but I think we're in the age of pure confusion right now. You know, people leaving out of the theater out of pure confusion. Like I've seen people get up watching Hereditary. They're like, all right, let's go. Let's get out of here, you know, or watching Men, you know, the end of Men. And, you know, just I remember 3-4 people walked up out of Men. And I was like, it's not that. But I guess they didn't get it. They didn't get it, you know. But I feel like right now in the age of horror where we are now, I think there's a lot of different depths that people are trying to, you know, put to the forefront, you know. So, you know, not necessarily, because I know people don't like the term, you know, elevated horror. I know it's a controversial term, you know, in the community, but you know, it's a lot of people, you know, trying to do different layers, and you know, I feel like it's an era of confusion, you know, the Confucius era.
The only reason I don't like the term elevated horror is because I think that horror has, to me, when you say elevated horror, it's smart horror. And to me, horror has, look at the people under the stairs. I mean, like that to me is super elevated horror. You know, like Wes Craven went into that and he totally made a film about the different tiers of society and how the upper class steps on the lower class. And but he wraps it up in a scary movie about fucked up kids under stairs and going through walls. So you go back to George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. That's a total play on race, and to me, horror has always been smart, always been ahead of the curve. Black Christmas, 74? You have this woman telling her boyfriend, I'm not leaving college because you dropped out. I am having an abortion and you're not going to tell me I'm not going to. You have all these women in horror, black guys in horror with Dwayne getting the role of Ben in Night of the Living Dead 1968. And Mr. Romero said, I didn't go in there looking to cast a black guy. Dwayne came in, he nailed the role, and that's who got the role for me. I don't give a fuck if other people don't like it. I don't give a fuck if it makes you uncomfortable. This is who my actor is because he's the best actor for the role. And that's how horror has always been, whether it's LGBTQ+, race, religion, it's always been ahead of everything else and being accepting about it, talking about it, putting it in your face, because that's what horror does. It makes you uncomfortable by making you look at how uncomfortable the world really fucking is.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with that. And
that's why I don't like the term elevated horror. It's a really long-winded way of saying I don't like that.
I immediately think I'm going to be sitting through 2 hours of just grief when I hear elevated horror. I immediately think of like A24 or something. I'm like, oh shit. I feel like you're trying to preach to me for 2 hours. Like I can experience grief on my own watching this. I don't need you to tell me that I need to be grieving.
Exactly. And I will say too, when I think about elevator horror, I think that what comes to my mind is character-driven horror.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, we're going to go through the emotional wounds of this character. We got to see something bad happen to this character, almost to a point to where I like I said before, I try not to like step on it like that because I understand there's a place for it. Yeah. There's a place for. I understand that this isn't the 80s anymore where I like to live with my horror. I understand that characters can't be just sitting sheep waiting to be slaughtered. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think this whole thing about elevated horror is just about, okay, we're going to make this emotional wound, whatever it is, Michael, if it's like the trauma or the childhood stuff, whatever it is, well, we're going to make this emotional wound as scary as the monster and maybe even more scary than the monster, whatever the monster is. And you got to see this person go through. And I think that's what elevated horror. But for me, even with this movie, The Exorcist Believer, I just feel like it was trying to do too much at one time thematically. There were so many things that could have worked. I think the whole idea of bringing together these different religions, basically, I thought was brilliant. But that could have been a movie in and of itself. That could have been something that could have just drove the entire, and how each one looks at evil, how each one, and what if they were, and the idea that, and it's beautiful. It was beautiful. I like the fact that they were able to work together, right? I like the fact that they were able to work together. But that could have been the conflict. That could have been a major source of conflict.
It almost was.
Movies. You know what I'm saying? Up until they realized that in order to banish this thing that was in it, they had to work together. But that could have been a source of conflict throughout the entire film. It's just, it was trying to do too much. Like I said, thematically, and I thought the whole character things, it's almost like, can we get it? To me, that's why I'm such a big fan of the remake to the recent Evil Dead, because I just felt like it was just about Evil Dead. I felt like they tried to give us a little bit of the character, and the character's kind of going through some of the protagonists. Okay, she had her little issue, blah, 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 blah. But then they moved right into, any, mini, miny. They went right into the scare of it all. They were like, okay, this is about the Evil Dead. So let's not forget, this is an Evil Dead movie. Let's make this about the Evil Dead people. I just feel like these other movies, man, they are just too focused on, I don't know, dare I say character stuff, but certainly just kind of like living in this elevated thing. Like, just scare me, man. I'm here to see a scary movie. Scare me.
Well, you love the
again,
monster.
They're gonna really develop these characters because you have 2 more movies to watch them. They know that they have to give you as much character shit as they can right now because you're gonna be following them for another 2 movies.
It better be the same people too. Don't introduce
Right.
30 more people in this movie.
They're gonna go out and they're gonna find people on the streets with bats and crosses and holy water.
Oh my god! You know what? It might be. I want to see more of Anne. I want to see more of that character. We didn't get enough of her.
Yeah.
And going back to your point about the religion, I like that they brought together all these different faiths to work on us. Even though the parents at first were like, "Hold up, where's the where's the priest at?" Because I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
Right.
But I forgot my damn point.
No, you were saying
at the end of the day, it's good versus evil.
They brought together all the religions and.
Well, when you have all those different religions, it's showing that it's good versus evil. It doesn't matter what religion you believe in. We know which one is good and we know which one is evil. And every religion, whether it's real or whether it's not the correct one, which I hate to say because we don't know.
Yeah.
But, that's awesome. You know, it's one of those things where we know that this is good. We know that is evil. And if we all got to come together to defeat the devil or whatever evil it is we believe in, the end of the day, we're trying to save 2 little girls' lives.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I was like, okay, we don't have professionals here doing this. It's just kind of like a ragtag group of people who kind of know what they're doing. But because we all believe in saving these kids, that's what's going to get us through. And I'm not an expert. I don't know if that's how exorcisms work. But in this world, it seemed to be the case. But I was just hoping. Well, actually, some of them knew what they were doing, and other ones, it was just kind of like, I could do it. I learned a little bit here and there.
Well, that was going to be my next question for y'all. Like, if we were in this type of situation, would you, help? Would you help out? Would you be in the car?
Do I know these people?
That's it. That is pretty relevant.
Who all gonna be over there?
Or friends, kids, I can understand going in, but random people. What am I going to do? First of all,
the power of prayer, Mike.
Mike's gonna be the guy taking the puke out to dump outside.
Yeah, I'll be outside. I'll help y'all do whatever. I'll bring towels because y'all gonna be sweating and everything. I'll help with everything else. I can't help with the spiritual stuff.
Mike's gonna look like the girl from The Water Boy with the sign outside. You want me to come in and kill him?
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, like for me, I think that so there's a difference between Sledgehammer Horror and Ken Sledge. Sledgehammer Horror is a guy that loves to do horror things on the internet. Ken Sledge is a guy that's been a parapro at a school that's worked with autistic children. He is the baseball coach in his town. So the kids in this town, all of them are very, very special to me. I have a very close relationship with almost every, 10th grader through 3rd grader in our town right now because of all the work I've done with the schools, all the work I do out on the baseball diamond. So I think I would do whatever I could to help a child. I think that the whole world would be a lot better if we had more empathy and sympathy towards other people, because we always look at what's real. What is real? And that's what I see. What I see is real. And we see that a lot right now with social media and politics and stuff. There's no looking at the other person's perspective. Seeing is believing, in the way that I see something, the way that I believe something, that's it, period. If we could do a lot more looking from the other person's perspective, the world would be a better place. So at the end of the day, it's somebody's little boy or somebody's little girl in there. Right. And if I can do anything at all to try to help that child and help this family, I think I would do it. And that's not me being like, I'm a badass. That's me being like, I'm a fucking idiot. And I would just run into it blind and just be like, let's do it. Let's fight this demon.
I applaud you.
I've been watching a lot of Halloween Resurrection. So I've been watching Busta Rhymes. I know karate now. So if I got to do some kung fu moves, I got this shit. Entertainment.
I think I don't know, Tyrone, if I would personally do anything to help. I think the extent to which I would help would be to go and get somebody who I know is capable of helping. So I think for me, because when I use the word respect, I'm not talking about like I respect the evil, but what I mean is I take it seriously.
Mhm.
And so because I take it seriously, I wouldn't go in there knowing that and it's no indictment on myself. It's just that I know I am completely unschooled in doing this particular thing. So let me go and get somebody who I know is capable, learned, and prepared to go and address this with the respect with a small R that it deserves, because you know what I'm saying? Because it's like I know I wouldn't do. I wouldn't put myself in a situation. I'm like, I know I am
You
nowhere
understand
near
its power.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And I think that was like the main part of, like, even when they were there, I think they were all sort of like, they all kind of had their doubts, at one point or another. Even when they were banded together, because they were like, "Are we done? Do we got more left to do?" Or this person went off and kind of did her thing by herself, and this person was still kind of doing. They were kind of just kind of confused, and so yeah, it was kind of a bit of a ragtag team there a little bit. I mean, except for the one woman though, who I thought I would have loved to have seen more about her. I forget her name, but she was the one.
Dr. Behibe, something like that.
Yeah,
she knew what she was doing. I was like, y'all need to back up and let her handle this, because just listen to her.
Now that leads me to my next question. Would you guys hold a seance and or exorcism in your household? For any reason. Let's say somebody in the house was possessed, or they just needed the space, because somebody may be living in a studio apartment. They're like, "Hey, bro, I can't have this type of scenario in my studio. I see you got room in your house."
That's a big ask. This isn't, "Yo, bro, can you help me move my couch next weekend?" Like that's a pretty big ass there, Tyrone.
The more you tried to explain that, Tyrone, the more I was like, no.
Yeah. If a buddy of mine called me like, "So your house, how likely is it to have ghosts there?" Would I let somebody come into my house to perform a seance or an exorcism? No, because at the end of the day, I'll do what I can to help you. That doesn't put my family in danger. And
Understood.
if you exercise something and it goes into one of my daughters, my son, my wife, my dog, my cat, I'm gonna punch you in the head either way. But I'll do what I can to help you. Like I'll like fence in the yard. Like we could do it out there, maybe like by the old tree. There's a tire swing. You could have fun out there while you're doing it. But if it was my daughter, obviously, or my son, yeah, we'll do it here. We'll do whatever we got to do. But I couldn't open my house up to somebody else to do an exorcism. Like, bro, I've only got 48 square feet here. I can't do an exorcism. That sucks.
We have seen Night of the Demons. We don't need. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing it?
You got a 4-bed, 3-bed house. Can we finally extract it tonight?
Now I'm picturing that. Like, bro, can I use your house for an exorcism? No. Dude, I helped you move your couch, and you said if I needed anything that I could get a hold of you.
No.
Like, yeah.
Also, why don't you go to a church and do? I'm so confused why people don't go to churches. I'm always seeing this in houses. And
because you seen the bullshit with this church. They was taking
night,
all day.
Ain't nobody there.
Oh,
go
you talking about?
Unless it's that night where they spend the night in church. I don't remember what it's called. But any other night, you could go in there and you will be fine.
In these movies, it'd be night and they still be up in there. The
one person lighting the candles. Yes.
Didn't we tell you no? We didn't say we're not going to your house, so come to mine. What the hell is going on here?
I will say though, along those lines, there is something that has always just, I don't know why, man, but it always scared me. And it's not a movie, but it's something that it's a device that you see in some horror movies. And now you see it a whole lot, too much. But whenever I would see sort of like the desecration of something that's supposed to be holy, whenever I see that, it, for whatever reason, that really creeps me out. And so even if it's like an inverted cross, I mean, we see it so much now that it kind of, But when I first saw like a cross inverted, or
a statue of Virgin Mary or something, blood coming, some shit like that.
Yeah. When I first, even like on the Evil, I'm sorry, I was going to say Evil Dead, but even like on Exorcist 3, there were quite a few moments with a statue. They would have like, yeah, stuff like that for whatever reason. And even in the movie, The Medium, where the one woman ran back up into like the forest or wherever she was, and she ran up because she was about to pray to her goddess. But when she went up there, she saw the head of the statue decapitated. Yeah. And the way she yelled, because that was like her source of strength. And to see it in a stage of weakness against the power of this other evil entity, to me, that's just like, oh my God. Because at that point, it's almost like, what do you have now?
Well, we've always been taught, especially because you said, you grew up Christian. And what have we always been taught? God is almighty, God, and that's God being defeated in a sense. So if God is being defeated, what the fuck am I going to do? I ate 2 Little Caesars pizzas yesterday. I'm lucky I can walk right now, let alone fight evil. And I ain't God.
I mean, at what point do you accept it? Like, this is too much energy and effort. Like, there's nothing else I can do.
That's the movie we need. Like, you know what? Fuck it. You win. I'm done.
But that always scared me. So the idea of like going to a church, or even that one moment. And again, the more we talk about this movie now, the more
you like it more, right? You like it.
It had its moments, yeah, Michael. It kind of like it had its moments, because I'm like, even the point where the little girl, Catherine, when she was walking, they had just gotten finished with communion, and she was walking, and she had like tore up the whole communion, tray and stuff like that, and she was walking through the church aisle.
The body and the blood.
And it's almost, and there was that moment when I saw that, even in the trailer, that I was like, oh my gosh, because it was like, you would think that this thing, how would this thing be able to have power to do what it was doing to that little girl while in a church?
Right.
It would seem like kryptonite to Superman, or a state to a vampire. It's like, is this thing that strong that it can take over a little girl and desecrate the girl, really, in the way that it did, by like embodying her and then desecrating communion and then walking through the church saying what it was saying? It's almost like, it kind of elevated the strength of this thing, which to me, I wanted to know more about it. What is it? Where is it from? How old is it? I wanted to know more.
Sumerian, it's old as hell. They just didn't talk about it.
I mean, that's lost. That's that. And to me, that was something they could have harped on, and it would have made it deserving of the title, The Exorcist.
Hi, I am Lamash Pitt. I'm 47,000 years old, and I like long walks on the beach.
You know what I'm saying? It would have made it deserving, because let's be real. I was thinking about it, and I was like, even the OG, Exorcist, the 73 Exorcist, we didn't get a whole lot of background on the demon.
Right.
We didn't get a whole lot. I mean, we got some flashes. We knew that it was ancient because of the way the movie opened. We knew that, but we really didn't get why it got into Reagan. I mean, we have some, people, I'm sure people will be like, I know how, but I'm sure there are theories out there, but it wasn't explicitly shown like how it got into Reagan. I thought that even in this movie, they could have dove more, not revisit the original one, but give it some more meat. Give it some more meat, and say, if this is the same thing, or if it's something like Michael said, if this is a different one. That's what made Hereditary so frightening, because listening to the conversations they were having about this entity, and
Payman,
it's one of 7 that's guarding the gates of it. That to me was like, oh my goodness. you're giving me meat. You're giving me like
Mm-hmm.
source material now. And so now I'm thinking about it. And again, the subject matter is enough to scare me. If like, you know, like Michael said, if this is like the, you know, like a woman demon or whatever the case is, that's kind of like, you know, in the reign of like Pazuzu, like talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about, give me more, and then bring in, if you want to bring in the OG. But it just, to me, it was too scattered. It was too scattered.
That could have been a phone call, honestly. The OG coming in. You put her in jeopardy for the. I don't even know what she was thinking. So maybe she should have been there at the exorcism, but obviously she was blinded. However, she studied a lot since it happened to Reagan. So she could have come through when everybody was there. Don't venture off on your own going up some damn stairs. That irritated me.
Yes.
Back to Catherine. So the ending to me was anticlimactic because I didn't care about Catherine dying because we didn't get that much of her and her family in the beginning. Facts. It was Angela and her father. So I felt like, especially since the trailer made it seem like it being the two young girls was so important, we should have got an equal story with both of them. And then it would have felt more heartbreaking at the end. Like I still felt for the parents, but I didn't care while watching the movie.
Yeah,
but maybe to Ken's point, she'll be back.
Yeah.
Like like I said, I don't think she's dead. I think she's in a coma. I think this they'll reveal in the next one that she's in a coma, and they're waiting for her to wake up. And then when she wakes up, it's back.
She's going after her father first. No, after the mother, because the mother didn't say anything. So she's going after the mother first.
I'm digging what Tyrone said though. Even if the presence had shown up to the house first to torment the parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, I just wanted more of the I wanted more of the story. That's what Hereditary got right. I mean, even though it was in bits and pieces, it's you still knew, and even at the end, the way they ended it, when it was like, oh my gosh, like these people are for real over this thing. I don't know, man. It just, to me, it felt, I don't know what the word is, y'all. I said PG before. Maybe that is the right way for me to say it. It just didn't, I don't know. It just didn't land. It didn't land. And I thought the acting was on point. Nothing against the act. I thought the acting was on point. And like you said, Ken, I thought I thought the directing, it was well shot. You know, I could see a lot of thought, but it just didn't seem researched.
It could have been scarier. That's the biggest takeaway for me. When people ask me what my biggest problem with the film was, it could have been scarier. When I think about The Exorcist, whether it's 1 or 3, because 2 doesn't exist and 4 is kind of in its own world, they were fucking scary, man. Even 3, when Brett Dorff is giving his speech as the Gemini killer and he's going back and forth between him and the priest, and you're unsettled throughout that whole moment. You're like totally unsettled. You're scared.
Yep.
When the nurse is going back to his house to kill his daughter with the big shears, you're scared throughout that whole chase.
Yeah.
There's no moments in this movie that weren't in the trailer. The body and the blood part is terrifying. Something about little girls in white dresses, to me, there's nothing in this world that's supposed to be more pure than a young lady in a white dress. So when you get a child in a white dress, what's supposed to be the most pure thing in the world, being evil, that's like an evil grandma. Like, what? Where's my cookie?
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to send me a birthday card with 28 cents in it next year. What are you being mean for?
Yeah.
But when you have this little girl in this white dress screaming the body and the blood as she's walking through the aisle of a church where it's supposed to be sacred ground,
exactly.
If I wouldn't have watched that first trailer, that part would have probably fucked me up. Like, whoa, what the fuck? They're in a church. You're not supposed to be able to do that here.
Yeah.
So it had its moments, but it goes through what every Blumhouse movie goes through, and they give away everything in their trailer. Blumhouse needs to fire their advertising department, because every Blumhouse movie does the same thing, and they show you everything in the trailer, or they give you a trailer. Like Halloween Ends was the worst marketing I've ever seen in my life. The worst marketing I've ever seen. And then you get all these other movies that completely give everything away. You want to know how to do a trailer? Talk to the guys that did the Barbarian trailer. The perfect trailer for a movie
Yeah.
ever is Barbarian. That's the perfect trailer.
It intrigues you.
Yes.
But I
That was
also
my favorite
think you
movie of
have
last year.
you have people who have very short attention spans, and I don't think they have faith in us to just go in with a vague trailer. Like, I like the Hereditary trailer, even I didn't know what the hell it was about, but it made me want to go watch it.
Exactly.
But you have these movies now, they're like, we need to get people in the seats, so let's make this trailer as entertaining as possible. But you can't give away key points that would scare the fuck out of people or creep them out in the trailer. That's where Pet Sematary fucked it up. You don't give us the twist in the trailer. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
The latest
I
one?
agree.
Oh no. Now that's the one that deserved all this energy everybody was giving this damn movie. That Pet Sematary movie.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of.
What?
I wasn't either.
The one that,
Bloodlines.
the newest one that
2019
came out on streaming.
Oh,
The
Bloodlines?
prequel.
See, like, here, real quick, I think that movie phenomenally acted. Henry Thomas in that movie is
Acted.
holy shit good. But it retcons everything about the other movies. Everything about the other movies gets retconned in Pet Sematary Bloodlines, and it pisses me off. Like, it ruins so many different things about all the other Pet Sematary movies. It makes it make no fucking sense. Like, you have to shoot him in the head. What the fuck? When? Since when? Gage got a shot in his neck and went, no fair, no fair.
And they're superhuman
You know, like-
now. They have strength. They can. I was just like, what? This is a demon movie, or well, I guess it was a demon movie before, but like, it was Evil Dead demon. Like, this is not what I'm used to seeing. I'm used to them shuffling around, or a little kid running with his little legs trying to slice somebody up. Not this. Not this in Pet Sematary.
I was really excited for this because Henry Thomas is one of my favorite actors. And I still think Henry Thomas killed it in this movie. Like, he was so fucking good as the dad. But like, there's so much about it. Like, how Judd knows everything about the Pet Sematary in this movie. How he went and he's seen all this shit. And in the first one, we know. Like, they even retcon how the dude died. In the first one, he burns up in the house with his dad. Like, they completely changed everything about it. I'm like, you can't change the source material in a prequel. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, totally. Can I just throw this one out there too, y'all, about The Exorcist? I tend to think that when I look at movies like the original Omen or the original Exorcist and stuff like that, or Carrie even, I think so much of the fear factor for me is just the actors and actresses of that day. I look at Carrie's mother, and she just scared me.
Yeah.
She just scared me. She didn't have to say anything. She didn't have to do anything. I just looked at her and I was like, I'm frightened. I looked at the original priest and the 73 Exorcists. He just had this troubled facial expression throughout the entire movie. And without spending time with wounds and character wounds and all that stuff, they just looked emotionally wounded. I don't know what the acting was they were doing, but it's just something about the actors and acting I don't know, for me at that time, like the little kid from the original Omen, even the Omen part 2, when he was a teenager. Think about the original Children of the Corn. Isaac. Look at that kid. Look at that kid. Like, he didn't have to say anything. I just look at Isaac and I'm ready to take off in the other direction. It's just like the acting just seemed to be like on something. It just seemed to be darker in a good way.
I think a big part of that, now this is just my opinion, a lot of them, especially back then, were more stage actors at the time. So they had to rely on facial expressions, on their voice to carry, because they only had one take to get this done when they're on stage. So I think a lot of the acting back then, especially, was done by a lot of stage actors that were used to doing stage productions. So they had to rely on that stuff. That's all they had known. That's what they were trained to do.
Okay.
So when you get these people that are stage trained actors that are coming on and then doing film, you don't just forget your stage. You know, that's what you've been taught your whole life, is being on stage and relaying to people with your body language, with your face, with your voice. what you're going through, because you don't have practical effects, CGI, none of this other stuff. It's all you. So I think back then, especially, you had a lot of, you even go back to like House of Wax, 13 Ghost, the original Fly, a lot of like what Vincent Price did. Oh, you could tell it's a lot of stage acting, the way that he would move, the way that he would talk. You could see it was a lot of stage acting in what he did on film. And I think that that's an art form in and of itself, is being a stage actor and bringing that type of presence onto film. That in itself is an art form of its own.
Yes. I mean, more contemporary, and a more contemporary, more contemporary reference, I think about Tony Todd. Tony Todd to me seems to be like, I can totally see him as a stage actor. I mean, his posture as Candyman, the way he stood, the voice.
Yes.
It was almost hypnotic. Even just listening to him, it's like, did you learn this, or is this just something you just can do just by nature? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I just think that some people can just emote. You know what I'm saying? They can just emote.
Dramatics, darling.
Yes.
And Tony Todd is the nicest guy. We had the honor of meeting him at Horror Hound, and I walked up and I shook his hand, and he was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Ken." He was like, "Ken, you have an amazing energy." I was like, "I can die now. It's cool. I can just, I can go. It's over. Everything I've ever wanted to do is done." So Tony Todd, just everything he does, even when he has the smallest roles, like Bloodsworth and Final Destination. In every Final Destination movie, you remember the things he did just because of how his presence, like you said, his voice, that baritone voice, and how it's almost hypnotic in everything he says. And it doesn't hurt the fact that he's just like a beautiful human being, and he radiates that passion. He was handpicked to play Ben in the Night of the Living Dead remake in 1991 because of how amazing he is. And he's one of those guys that, and you can, that movie especially, you can see a lot of his, because he did a lot of stage acting too, and you can see a lot of that, especially in Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead.
I can tell
the dramatics that he did, and I think that those are people that I love. It's the difference between, as someone that does a lot of this, and then someone that does a lot of, like, being in movies. It really is the difference between, like, it's like you're in a band. This right here is like playing a show. I don't get to take two. I don't get to cut and take it from the top. I'm playing a show. I hope people like it. When I do movies, it's like making a record. If I mess up on a note, I can go back and redo it. If we missed a cue, I can go back and redo it. So like, I love the ability, and that's the same thing with stage actors. When you're on stage, that's your concert. You got to get it right the first time, or else your crowd's going to boo you. When you go and you step into the studio to make your record, to make your movie, you can perfect what you're doing and do it over and over until it's perfected. And it's just the immense respect, just from the little things I've done. The immense respect I have for actors and actresses is just the way that they're able to do the things they do so perfectly. It's amazing. It truly is great.
Yes.
Now, which I might want to add, The Bride of Killer Pinata is streaming on Tubi and Amazon Prime. If you guys haven't seen it yet.
Yes. Shout out to the actor Ken. One time. But my next question, and my last question for discussion, for you guys is, what would you guys say to the police when they pulled up?
I was wondering that. I was like, are they going to get arrested?
Depends on who I am. If I'm the white dad, I'd have been like, it was them. I'm kidding. Nobody cancel me, please.
Oh my god. Ooh. First of all, who called them? But
we already exorcised one demon. Do we really got to do this again?
Is it illegal to do? I don't even know. I don't know what the hell I would say in this situation.
I don't know what you would say. Yeah, because you got to remember, you got the priest in there with his head snapped.
Yeah.
Right? You got the priest in there with his head snapped. You got the little girl who may or may not be dead. You got
the other girl looking injured too.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna look like Ace Ventura on Ace Ventura when nature calls. Let's go to jail, shall we?
I don't know. I think. Yeah. What do you say? Like, what?
Honestly, just because of who I am, I would just be honest. I'd be like, I feel like I'd be in Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Like, you're never going to believe this, officer, but we've had a doozy of a day. The demons came in. They possessed our daughters. We've been in here trying to exorcise them all goddamn day. And the priest, he came in and his head just snapped. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened, but it did.
One kid made it, one kid didn't. I don't know how it happened, but you know.
Oh, I don't know, Tyrone. That's a good question. My wife and I talked about that too, man. When we first saw, we was like, "What are they going to say?" And it was funny because you could see like the pastor, having like a conversation with one of the cops, and I don't know what you say. I mean,
I guess the truth, like Ken is saying, if everybody sticks with the same story, this is what happened. You can't tell me anything else.
Y'all all
come out
going
right
to
away
jail.
like,
yeah, right.
Well, what else you gonna tell them? They attacked us, so we had to kill them. Like, what else did you say?
This ain't Yellow Jackets. Everybody going to jail.
hey, because it's gonna be hard to explain why that priest is in that house with his entire head backward.
Right.
Like,
He was like that when he got here. I don't know what happened.
Or the girl that did it, the one that's dead, she did it.
And he killed her on his way out. We tried to stop him, and I was like, no, don't break his neck. And she did it anyway. And I was like, oh, there's going to be consequences. And he got her on the way down.
Dr. Behibe, she got up out of there. She was like, okay, my job is done. Y'all not about to lock me up.
You see, they made us choose between two of the girls, and we had to pick one.
Right.
It was a tough choice, but that's why one's laying on the floor unconscious, and the other one is over there looking traumatized and scared.
That's probably what
we can only pick one.
I would
It's almost
deflect. What happened here? Why don't you save the little girl first, and then we'll talk? All right. You're asking the wrong.
And what took y'all
question,
so long
officer.
to come here in the first place? Why did y'all take so long to come here? It almost looked like that doctor knew something was going to happen because the candles, when she extinguished one candle when Catherine died, so it's like she knew either one or both of them could have died. Well, I guess that makes sense. It's an exorcism, but they could have died in that situation. She was far too calm. She has to have seen stuff. She was way too calm in that situation.
The dad was too calm the whole damn movie. He was too calm for me.
You saw Angela's dad?
Yeah.
I mean, in his defense, his wife died right in front of him. There's not going to be much more that's going to shake him after that. After that, like, I've went through the worst thing that I could possibly go through until it happens to your daughter, obviously. But at that point, I've seen hell. I've been there. What else do you want from me?
I didn't even notice that. He didn't look too freaked out seeing his daughter like full on possessed at the end when they were talking shit and stuff. He just seemed like she's drunk or something, like, and I have to try to sober her up.
Right. I think until she said you chose her over me, that's when that was the moment where he knew this isn't my daughter anymore, because I would have never told her that. I never would have told my daughter that. At that point, I think he really, because like you said, he had no faith. And up until that point, he was just going through the motions. And at that moment, he knew this was real. This is very, very real now. And now I really got to try to help, because if not, she's going to die.
See, I hate that demons know all your shit. They be all up in your business. They know shit from,
my
10
team
years
would be
ago.
embarrassing the fuck out of me from second. Remember that time that you were in gym class in second grade and you looked behind you and you got a boner and you had to run the gym with a phone? You remember that, Ken? Yeah, let's keep going down this road. Those thoughts, those intrusive thoughts that keep you up at night when you're trying to sleep and they just pop in there for no reason. Yeah, that's me, motherfucker. Now we're gonna do it for real. Yeah,
like, is it enticing you to like kill the person that it's possessing by doing that? Like, shut your ass up before I have to strangle you. Like, you are not about to put me out there like this for all these people.
Just possess me. I'm done.
Yeah, like when you get in a fist fight with your demon, for about to talk. Put all your business out there, like, yo, you need to quiet down a little bit. Quiet down.
You know what?
Between me and you, demon. How
you know what?
You promised.
You know what though, Tyrone? It did come down to a fist fight in the original Exorcist. Because remember at the end, didn't that priest hit the girl, hit Reagan? because remember the one priest was dead in the room, and then the other priest came in, and Reagan was just sitting on the bed, kind of just looking and kind of smiling, and the one priest slapped started like
I'm mixing this up with Scary Movie. I don't remember what happened.
I think he hit her and told it to come inside of him instead. But I mean, it's
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that's a good ass question, Tyrone. I don't know what I would do, man. I don't know. I'm still thinking about what would I do or say to the police in that situation. I don't know. I'm stuck on that.
I mean, genuinely, what can you say? We were in here doing an exorcism, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you because this is fucked. Like, there's nothing I could say this could be more fucked up than what I just watched for the last 45 minutes. So
we'd be the next HBO documentary.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those like, if you would have bet, we should have recorded this, man. It's like when you're getting high and you think you have the best ideas in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if only we would have recorded that exorcism so the cops wouldn't have busted us, man.
But you know what, though? Even kind of going what you just said, Ken, man, when you were like, you know, what messed Angela's dad up the most was when Angela started saying you chose her over me. But didn't you just see your daughter? Your daughter is possessed. That isn't scary enough for you. It's like, again, it kind of goes back to like this emotional wound. It's worse than a monster.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, your daughter is now kind of part demon. That isn't scary enough for you. It takes now for your daughter to bring up something that happened to you a long time. I don't know.
It's extra fucked up.
I don't think that he's completely convinced it's a demon yet. He's still holding on to the fact that it's something scientific, something medical. I think that is still something that he's really grasping onto because we know he doesn't have any faith. You know, he says that to everybody. Like, you believe whatever the fuck you want to believe. That's on you, not me. But then at this moment, he has no other choice. You know, if my daughter is sick with some type of virus, it's not going to give her knowledge of what happened the night that she was born between me and my wife that died. You know, at this point, he has to believe. Because now there's no other option. You know, now he knows whatever's in there is real. This isn't a new strand of COVID. You know, like this is the real shit now. Like I need to man up. I need to believe and I need to do what I can to help.
I'm sorry. Can I ask y'all a question real fast? Did it kind of get kind of cheesy after a while in the movie, especially when they were like gosh, what
floating in the end?
Well, it was, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. When they all were kind of like standing around and they were like, it just kind of felt cheesy to me.
I feel what you mean. I know what you mean because they were, you know, she was like, you know, it's the power of togetherness, and you know, it's the strength of, you know, it's the
blame your legacy character for that, who apparently has visions. Why does she have psychic powers now?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, she I don't know, she just looked goofy with and I'm like, okay, I know her eyes are poked out or whatever, but I'm just like, I just kept laughing at the scene because I'm like, this shit is goofy. This shit is beyond belief.
At the house, you know, did we win, guys?
Yeah,
are they okay? What happened? Did we win?
Right, like you said, things that started happening randomly. Like, how did she know? Because it was like, you know, she was where she was located, right? The mother, like, I mean, the OG mother. I think, you know, reverse. You know, she was where she was, and she's like raising her hands and. Like she's a part of the exorcism too, or she knew kind of what was going on. Like I was like, come on, y'all.
If you're going to be like Tangina and Poltergeist, just come on and commit.
Exactly.
Come on over to this house and help us.
Exactly.
Yeah, that comment circle. It was the circle of cheese. It was the circle of cheese.
But I did like the blowing the smoke into the fire and then it coming up and then I don't know what the fuck it was doing, attacking whatever evil spirit was in the air. I did like that.
I did like that too. Because it seemed to be the only thing up until that point that was actually doing something effective against the demon.
They literally wanted that smoke.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on that note, yeah, we go. Joke. We go give our rating on the film, you know, and it's going to be in buckets of green vomit, you know. So how many out of 5 buckets of green vomit, you know, what do you give this film? I'm gonna say I give it a 2.5 buckets of green vomit, you know, out of 5. That's what I'm gonna give this film. 2.5 buckets out of, and that shit might be higher than my Letterboxd rating, you know. So who knows? But right now, after this discussion, I'm gonna say 2.5 buckets of green vomit. You know, what about you, Tommie? What's your rating, man?
I'm gonna have to echo you, Tyrone. I'm gonna have to go for, and the only reason I'm giving it that 2.5 is because I think the acting was pretty good. It just didn't live up. It just did too large of shoes. I mean, the shoes were just too large. Shoes, Exorcist, it 2.5. 2.5 buckets.
All right. What about you, Michael?
Okay, so normally when I give a 3, it's because I was entertained enough to watch it more and more and more. This didn't quite do that, so I am gonna have to say 2.5.
Okay.
I didn't think it was horrible. It's just not something I would watch continuously.
Yeah.
Or ever again. To be honest, I watched it again because I am on this.
You don't know
tonight.
that. We haven't seen the other 2 movies, so you don't know that yet.
Oh yeah, well, true. But the first Nun was trash, and I ain't watched that shit over again either. And I loved 2. You know, 2 was amazing to me. You know, I will like listen, kid, 2 is amazing. 2 is amazing.
No.
So what's your rating, Ken?
Well, I gave it when we did our review on it, I gave it a 2.5. So just to be an asshole, I'm gonna give it 2 3/4. Because you guys upped it a half a buck or a quarter a bucket of green slime for me. But again, I didn't walk out of this movie. I'm also so easy to please. I go into every movie really looking for a reason to enjoy it. I know a lot of people go into movies looking for reasons to be pissed off, and I don't get that because I like money and I don't want to waste it. So if I have a chance to take my wife on a date, I want it to be something that I'm going to remember. I want to try to find the most positive things about the movie, about the date that I can. Because, like I said, we've been married since high school. We have 3 kids. For us to actually get a chance to go out and enjoy each other's company, I'm going to try to make it as enjoyable as I can. So I go into every movie trying as hard as I can to find the most enjoyable moments of a film to be entertained by. So to me, the positives in this movie outweigh the negatives. While I do try to find the positives. I am an overly critical person, but 2.5, 2 3/4. That's the perfect ranking for me because it's nowhere near the original or part 3, but it's nowhere near as bad as part 2 or whatever the fuck part 5 was. That one was absolute garbage. The beginning would be right around the same for me. Like the beginning would be like a 2. This would be like a 2.5. Like they're right neck and neck. But have you guys seen part 5?
No.
What is that? What is it called?
I don't even remember. It's literally the same actors as
1, 2,
like
3.
They filmed part 5 and they sent it into the studio, and the studio was like, do it again.
Oh damn.
So they redid it again, and that was The Exorcist: The Beginning. It's the same characters, almost the exact same story, but then like even the editing's not even done on it. Like there's a part where the possessed boy looks at you and his face just turns white, and they never put anything over top of it to make him look possessed.
Shit.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
they like literally released it straight to DVD like 6 months after part 4 came out. Like, hey, here's another version of it. So like I said, The Exorcist: The Beginning has the scariest / saddest moment of any Exorcist with the God Isn't Here Today priest. But look up The Exorcist 5. It's don't watch it. No reason to watch it. Dominion. That's what it was.
Dominion. Okay.
It's like literally the same actors, the same story. There's a couple minor differences between The Beginning and Dominion. Okay. But like I said, they didn't even finish the editing. Like there's literally, you'll know if you watch it, you'll know. There's a part where he's walking in the cave and he turns and looks at you and his face just turns white. And you're like, I feel like they were supposed to put an effect over top of that. And they were just like, nah, it's okay. Just leave it. No one's going to care anyway. No one's going to watch this.
Wow. Well, thank you guys for your ratings. 2.5 buckets of green vomit, that they gave. I think the consensus is pretty much 2.5. So it's a middle grade movie, folks.
Yeah.
It's not completely dog shit, but
Yeah.
it has its stinky moments.
Right.
But we enjoyed it for what it was, and also we're looking forward to what they have to offer in the future, especially with them possibly switching up the director.
I
Who
like
knows?
him. I don't care what nobody say. I like him as the director.
I'm with you. If like I said, if you want to change the writing team, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But I like his directing style. That's the one thing about Halloween Kills that saved that movie for me, was the direction of the film.
Yeah.
Halloween Kills is actually my least favorite in the David Gordon Green trilogy. But the direction of the movie I thought was brilliant. But there's just so many things in that movie that made me utterly angry, that didn't make sense to me. How the fuck are you going to look at that little 5'2", 600-pound dude and be like, that's Michael Myers right there? That's the guy we're looking for. That's
Evil
like
transfers to anyone. It doesn't.
There's someone looking at me going, hey, there's Shaq. We've been looking for you, Shaq. Come here. We got to hit some free throws that you'll never make. Like, there's no way you would confuse the two of us. There's no way.
That's true. That I will say, he needs to work on tension and suspense. I think if he works on those, I think he'd be solid.
Especially with an Exorcist movie. That's when we were talking earlier about the runtime and stuff. They definitely gave this a slasher style runtime. You need to be able to draw things out. You need to be able to build that tension with a supernatural horror movie.
Yes.
Don't go into this like you're trying to make a slasher film, because it's not going to work. It absolutely is not going to work.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank y'all, again for joining me tonight, kicking it with me and talking about, the Exorcist Believer, one of the most anticipated, films of the year, and we definitely, we didn't rip it to shreds, we gave some constructive criticism, and I'm proud of that. Not everything deserves the Evil Dead Rise, treatment.
Do they handle legacy characters better than Scream does with Sydney and Gail? Or I just had to throw that in there. It's not a real question.
Don't even get me started on Scream 6.
But thank y'all again, for kicking it. We had Mr. Michael Anthony, from People Under the Scares. Thank you again, Michael. You got anything that you want to plug?
Thank you for having me. People Under this. Oh my God, I almost said stairs. I always do People Under the Scares podcast with Bobby, who's in the comments. You can find that on all podcasting platforms, and also on YouTube with Tamon, Bobby, and Marco Estes on Scream Kings, where we fight endlessly about horror.
Yes, I love it. And they just came out with, like you said, the new season, so make sure you guys definitely check that out. Subscribe. We got Tommie over here, Mr. Black Horror Survivor. What you got going on, Tommie?
So I just started my own company, and it is, I don't want to say too much, but I just started my own company, got a team, and it's focused on horror stuff. We're working diligently on putting out material early next year. So
Congratulations, man.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. And thank you guys so much for, subscribing, being followers and all this other kind of stuff. Man, it's great. It's fun. And I'm just happy to be a part of the horror community. And thank you again so much, Tyrone, brother, for inviting me to, for tonight. And whenever you ask me to do these things, man, love you so much, brother. You're a friend, a bro of mine. And it was great meeting you, Ken, Michael, as always. I just have fun. I look forward to these things all the time whenever I'm asked to be on one.
Oh yeah, the same. Likewise, my man. It's always a beautiful time to have you and have the other folks on, and just have fun, and just the passion, because you was flowing tonight. I felt it. We felt it in our spirit. It's flowing tonight. Now, what about you, Ken? You know, what you got anything to plug, man?
Tomorrow, our episode of In Defense Of comes out with the Lost River Drive-In, where he is defending Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
White horses. White horses.
The one thing I will say, my defense of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is it is the most Friday the 13th Halloween movie there is. That's why I like that movie so much. I have 3 new episodes of my first horror movie coming out next week. One Monday, one Wednesday, one Friday. Next Saturday, Ashley's new review of Little Monsters comes out. Ashley does her own reviews now, where once a month she does a review that people have recommended her to do. She's done Hocus Pocus, Little Monsters.
Oh, wow.
She's done a couple other ones. The Wishmaster was one of them. And the next month she'll be doing Beetlejuice.
Okay.
And then next Sunday on our channel, we'll be doing our top 10 live. And we're going to be doing top 10 movies where the bad guy won. So I'm really excited about doing that. We just did, actually, one of my favorite lives we've ever done was the other day. You guys can catch the replay. It was just Ashley and I. And we were talking about movies with endings that we're not big fans of and how we would have ended the movies instead. Yes. We covered Nightmare on Elm Street, Psycho, The Turning, Smile. I can't remember the other 2. It Chapter 2. And there was one other one that I can't. Poltergeist 3. And Ashley's ending, because Ashley, like, this was the first, usually for people that don't know, whenever Ashley and I do top 10 lists, we go in other rooms and we get creative because we don't want to know each other's lists before we do it. But this one, we actually wrote these together. And I want to talk about it just for real quick, Tyrone. I promise I won't take up too much time. But the ending that Ashley wrote for Smile, it continues where the ending left, where she burned herself. And then he goes to the nearest hospital / assisted care facility and unlives himself in front of a blind person to completely end the curse because they weren't able to see it, to be traumatized by it, completely ending the curse. That way they don't franchise it. They leave it a solid standalone film. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, get her in the writer's room.
I loved it. I was like, that's a great way to end it. And everybody knows, like, I think Nightmare on Elm Street is the best slasher ever made until the last 5 minutes with the blow up doll mom and the stupid fucking Freddy car. And like Poltergeist 3, people talk about how they hate the ending of that movie. And I think a way they could have ended that movie that still could have done justice to Heather O'Rourke's passing is at the end of the movie, you see Heather O'Rourke's body double running to the parents from part 1 and part 2, and they pick her up and they hug her and they wave to Uncle Bruce and Aunt Pat, and they get in the taxi to drive off, and Uncle Bruce and Aunt Pat put their arm around each other and walk back in. So you know that the story's over. Heather O'Rourke has passed away. Send her back to her parents so she has a happy ending of herself, and Uncle Bruce and Aunt Pat go in, and we have a happy ending for everybody. I think that would have been a great ending to Poltergeist 3, to immortalize Heather O'Rourke passing at such a young age and giving her a true happy ending to her character. So we went on about all these movies and how we would have ended them differently. And again, we had the gift of hindsight, you know. I've always thought that, I'm not going to get into that one, but the ending of Psycho where they just come in and hold his arm up, that's what stops him from killing people. The cop comes in and is like, put your arm up. And he's like, oh, you found my weakness. Like, I think they could have done better than that. But if you guys want, everybody watching, if you want to check out that replay, actually, I had an amazing time writing all these endings, and people have been emailing us, hey, you should do this movie, you should do that movie, you should do this movie. So we're going to go back in and hit our own little writer's room and try to do another 6 movies for next month. So very excited about that. And I would love to get the 3 of you together with Ashley and I for a live sometime soon, a top 10 or a franchise ranking. I think we could have a lot of fun. And Tommie and Michael, hit me up on social media. I would love to have you guys on my first horror movie so I can learn how horror started for you. And I think we could have a blast with it. So please, it was an honor to meet you guys tonight. Tyrone, you know that I genuinely love you with all my heart. I would do anything for you. So thank you guys for allowing me to be on here with you. It was truly an honor to spend this time with you guys. This was a better 2 hours than watching The Exorcist Believer. Yes,
it was. And I I can vouch for that because I saw it twice. But thank y'all for hanging out in the comments. You know, Bobby, Dice, the Doubles, Tamon, Charles, thank you for stopping by. You know, Jaleesa, everybody in the comments. You know, if I miss you, I apologize. Scrolling through. B Camp, Wesley, thank you for stopping by. T's Horror in the City. You know, everybody, Patrick. You know, thank you for showing love. Ryan, thank you for stopping by. Whitney, you know, everybody. But yes, that's another episode, you know, of Evol Live. And as always, you know, the links are in the description, folks, or will be in the description in the morning at least, you know. But for everybody, definitely check them out. Subscribe to, you know, all their shit, you know, follow them on social media. Everybody that I have on these shows, I admire in one way or another. Like they all inspire me to do what I do. Like it keeps me going because, you know, like I have social anxiety. Like sometimes I'm like, shit, I don't want to, you know, I don't feel like just being super social and all this shit, but talking about horror and, you know, connecting with people that love the same shit, like it brings me out of it, and it's like, oh yeah, this is what we do it for. This is what we do
Hours
it for.
of conversation.
You know? Oh yes. The shit just fly by. You know, the shit just fly by.
It's
know,
finally okay for us to be fucking weird, man.
Yes.
This makes it acceptable, man. That's what I love about it. We're not the weird ones anymore. We're all just fucking normal with each other.
Exactly.
So I adore it.
Exactly. But thank y'all again, you know, and as always, peace, love, and horror. And we out of this thing.